Hi, I am Lois Llewellyn. We all desire spiritual growth, but do not always know where to begin. On A New Level Awaits You, we provide steps to guide you into your divine assignment and reach new levels of greatness in the Lord. You will begin to soar above every obstacle and enter into your specific assignment. So get ready to go from glory to glory as new levels await you. Well, welcome again to A New Level Awaits You. Today we're going to be continuing on our series on perseverance and how do we persevere through life and life situations. And I want to talk about Job today because he said some very interesting things that has really challenged me. And in Job 2, we know that there was a day that when Satan came to present himself before the Lord, and the Lord said to Satan, "Where are you coming from?" And Satan says, "I'm just roaming back and forth, walking around the earth." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" And because there's no one like him. And it talks about him being blameless and upright, fearing God, turning away from evil, etc. And so Satan just kind of goes and says more or less, "Oh yeah, you just put your hedge of protection around him. Let me just touch him. Let me just touch his flesh and he'll curse you to your face." And so God gave him permission to do that. Now, we wonder sometimes, we can question all these things, but Satan went out and he struck Job with severe boils. And what I really noticed here is that Job took a piece of pottery to scrape himself while he was sitting in the ashes. Now here, Job had really lost a lot of things. He'd lost his kids, he lost his finances, he's lost so much. And we know that he was a very wealthy man and probably had many people that could tend to him, etc. But in this, Job he went off and he just took a piece of pottery and he decided to just scrape himself. In a way, it's like, I'm just going to take care of myself here. And so when you think about this, Job is at rock bottom. And sometimes we just get to this place where we're at rock bottom and we don't even understand why or what's going on behind the scenes of all these things. This has given us a view into what takes place sometimes in our lives that we don't necessarily completely understand. But there's another depth of this that I want to tap into in this. How did Job persevere through all this loss? How did he manage to keep his sanity? How did he manage to be so faithful and true to the Lord? Because here's the next scripture in verse 9. It says, "Then his wife said to him, 'Do you still hold firm your integrity?' Then his wife said to him in verse 9, 'Do you still hold firm your integrity? Curse God and die.'" Now, my question to you is, there's lots of people around us. And in Job's case, this was his wife. And instead of supporting him, she's actually saying, "Are you going to still stand there and hold your integrity with God? Are you going to still love the Lord with all of your heart, basically? Why don't you just curse him and die? This is, you've gone through all of this. Just curse God and get over it." And I feel like, it's so often we find that with people. They don't understand how we are able to stand firm in our place to love the Lord with all of our hearts and with all of our minds and with all of our being. And as we do this, Job makes a comment back here that really, really causes us to ponder and to think. But he said to her, "You are speaking as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we actually accept good from God, but not accept adversity?" Despite all this, Job did not sin with his lips. And I pondered that question, and I want you to ponder it as well. Do we only accept good from God? Or do we understand that sometimes we have to accept adversity as well? And probably many of us, we accept it begrudgingly, not understanding. We're actually get confused with so many different things in our lives, and we question why God has there been so much adversity going on in our lives in this season. And I felt like with Job, there was something really crucial about this, because we know the end of the story with Job. And the end of the story is that he was, got double what he was. We know the end of the story. We know that Job was double blessed at the end. And that, yes, he got a new wife and they had children and his finances were returned. There was a big, huge miracle at the end. And it was all because Job stood firm. He stood firm. He was able to accept adversity as well as the good blessings and the good things that God gives us. And the thing of it is, we might not even be able to see any of the blessings anymore because we've gone through such depth of hardships. But I want to say to us that I think we're at a crossroads right now. I think we're at a crossroads like the Israelites were at the Red Sea, like Job was in that moment when Satan decided to say to the Lord, okay, let me have him. Let me do some things. Let me take this from him and that from him, and even affect his health. And let me give him a wife that's not supportive, and all of these things. And even his three friends said, their logic was beyond. And so we oftentimes will have these things in our lives, and we just question. So we get at this crossroad, and we get at this place where, what are we going to cling to? Now, the Israelites at the Red Sea, remember that they had Pharaoh chasing them from behind. They're at the Red Sea, and there's millions of them getting ready to cross over. But we have to decide, what are we going to do here? Do we hold firm to what our belief is in the Lord and what he wants to do in our lives? Do we persevere through that? Do we cling to that? Or do we give up? And like the woman, like Job's wife said, just curse God, just move on. And what I sadly see is that many of us are choosing that. They're giving up on the Lord. They're giving up. They've turned away from this God who has taken care of them and protected them. And they're focusing on the bad things that have happened. But at this crossroad, will we respond? Will we respond out of anger, like Job's wife, out of fear, like the Israelites did? Or do we want to stay in familiarity? This is what's happening. That's what's happened to the Israelites. They wanted to stay in familiarity. They would rather have lived in the opposition, or the oppression, I should say, and the harsh grip of evil that was coming down on them, the bad things, the comfort things of all that, instead of moving on boldly in faith and believing God that, I'm going to stand firm. I'm going to stand firm with my integrity. I'm going to stand firm in my belief in who God is. We are at a crossroads right now. And I want to share with you some things that God was showing me, and it is coming out of Exodus 14, and Moses in this particular case gave the Israelites a firm command. And he gave them this command to hold their ground, to trust the Almighty God, because God's going to intervene here and God is going to fight on our behalf. And just like Job, he made that decision that, you know what, God will fight for me. God, I'm going to go through this. God is still going to be my savior, my friend, my protector, my healer, all of it. But this is what happened with the Israelites and how God responded to Moses. I want you to look at this. He's saying to them, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea. Divide the waters so the Israelites can walk through on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge after you. My glory will be displayed through Pharaoh's army, his chariots, and his charioteers. And when my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see it and know that I am the Lord." Now, this is incredible because Moses it has to go and he has to tell these people, here we are at this crossroad where we're hemmed in from every side. But he also knew that there's only one way forward. And I think for Job, he knew that too. There's only one way that I'm going to get through that. That's what I'm going through, is that I've got to hold on to my integrity. I am going to hold on to the one thing that is a surety in my life, and that is my relationship with God. So I believe that God's plan here wasn't about delivering the Israelites or even about healing Job. It was actually about displaying his glory, both in Job's life and in the Israelites' life. Because even to Job's friends, it appeared so helpless, hopeless, impossible. You've lost everything. Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel that it's so hopeless, you can't even see a way out, you're hemmed in from both sides? There is no way I can go forward. This adversity is just too much for me. I have nothing to hang on to anymore. I might as well give up. It's impossible. And yet I want you to listen to these specific directions that the Lord is giving to the Israelites and to the Israelites as well as to Moses to share with that. And I believe that it's kind of saying it to us. He's saying it to Job. So here's what he said. Number one, stop crying. Saying, stop operating in fear. Stop operating in your anger. Shift out of this own mindset. Just stop it. I've got you, is what the Lord is saying. And I know this might be hard, but I've had that kind of come on me sometimes. It's like, stop your wallowing in your pain. Stop your fearfulness, and nothing is impossible with God. So why are you crying like this? Why are you wallowing? And the Lord really is saying this to Moses and to the Israelites and to all of us, I think. Stop your crying. Number two, God tells Moses, he said, order them to get moving. And he, once again, no more wallowing in our stuff. No more believing these lies. Move away from familiarity and the comfort places in our mind. This is a biggie because we can get so caught up in what we're familiar that we have no clue. We are blinded to the promises that are on the other side. We can get so caught up that we choose the familiarity, we choose the abuse, we choose those that are putting us down, we choose the rejection, we choose all these hardships over moving into what God has for us. Number 3, he says, hold your staff high. Believe again completely in me. Trust me that I am fighting for you. Turn to me with confidence. Turn to me with boldness. And be assured that I have your needs and concerns before me. This is what God was saying. He said, hold your staff high, Moses. I've got you. I wouldn't have put you in this situation if I didn't believe that I could take you all the way through. Trust me that I can take care of whatever's coming at you, whatever. And the same thing for for Job here is like, trust me, I'm going to deal with your friends. Trust me, I'm going to deal with your wife telling you those things. Trust me, I'm going to deal with those that are coming after us with all these lies, with all these things that are trying to get us to give up and not enter into the fullness of what God has for us. And then God tells Moses this, number 4, stretch out your hand over the sea. God is telling us right now, he wants us to go and do the thing he's telling us to do. We've got to take action. We've got to get up. We've got to stretch out our hands over. And when Moses did what God told him to do, what happened? The sea split wide open. It split wide open. And there was a way right through. And I believe when we begin to rise up and start to do the things that God has asked us to do, that things are going to open up. Doors are going to open up. There's going to be a way for us to get through to the other side, to get past the adversity, to get beyond it. And so when we do that, what we have to do is we have to step in, because he had to step his foot into the water. We have to step into that thing that God's calling us to do and use our authority for the greater things that God has already positioned us for. He's positioning us for good things, great things in this season. So he's telling us, stretch out your hand. Just get up, start doing something to get yourself out of the situation, through the adversity, to get beyond. Now, I'm not sure what that is for each of you, but sometimes we just have to get up off the couch and stop laying in our despair and our hopelessness. Sometimes we have to wash our faces, get dressed, get outside of the door of our homes. We have to get up and do something. And when we do that, and I'm just using these things as a metaphor, but what actually takes place is there's things that God will show us because we've made a decision to wipe off the despair, wash it off in us, and enter into some more hopeful thinking, hopeful ways. The question is, again, do we only accept what is good? And when we do not, if there's anything else, anything like adversity at all, do we get so weighed down by it that we don't even see our way through? Here, Moses, and I think even Job, was seeing a way through. And lastly, number 5, for the Israelites, Moses told him, he said, walk through the sea on dry ground. So what he was saying here really is, come on, witness the miracle and cross over on solid ground that I have prepared for you. So what he's actually saying here is that when you start, you've got your foot in, you're just putting your foot in a little bit, you're just checking it out, but then all of a sudden the miracle starts happening. And all of a sudden, the Israelites are now seeing themselves not in the impossible situation, not the narrow place, not the place that's not going to yield at all, but they're going to see themselves in a whole different light. They're crossing over into the promised land or into the miracle that is taking place. And I feel like God is really saying that in order to persevere. I'm wondering if if Job actually saw past the pain. He saw when he made that decision, when he said, do we not just accept the good, but also the adversity? What was Moses? I keep on saying Moses, so sorry. What was Job really saying? He's saying, I'm going to follow after the Lord, regardless of what's going on in my life. I'm going to trust God that He's going to get me through whatever's going on at this moment. I'm going to trust Him for my finances. I'm going to trust Him for my family. I'm going to trust Him for my future. I'm going to trust Him that He knows best what's for me. Now, I know immediately you're going to go, well, this sitting in the ashes with boils all over me, how is that being, trusting God? It's tough. Many of us have gone through tough things. Many of us have had things happen in our lives that is just beyond comprehension, beyond what, we think we can manage or deal with. But I know this. If you can get and stand firm in your integrity, if you can stand firm in who Christ is, who God did, what He did for you on the cross, when you stand firm that He can protect you through all of this and that He can send mighty forces to come around you to fight your enemy, to fight whatever it is. He can heal you. He can do so much more. When we stand firm in that, you know what? We get to the other side. We will get, this is the thing, we will get to the miracle. I've gotten through many things, not knowing that I would, not even really, struggling hard. I think Moses did, I think Job did, and I think the Israelites did. We all do. But here's the key. Do we want to get to the other side? Do we want to enter in to the very miracles that God has for us? And I would believe that most of you, like me, would say, yes, we do. And this is how we can get there. It's through persevering, trusting, honoring, worshiping this God who fights all of our battles for us, who takes us from something that's honestly impossible into the amazing possibilities of things that we never could fathom in our natural realm. I want to share with you today that we have a God who surrounds us, who fights fervently for us. And when we settle in that in our minds, then we will see and experience amazing miracles in Him and through Him. I know it's so difficult to persevere when life gets so hard. But I want to encourage you, do not harden your hearts. Stand firm. Stand with God. Do not give up on Him. Do not curse Him. Do not forsake Him, because He's the only true force that is going to take care of you and keep you going. Because even Sometimes, I'm sorry to say this, sometimes our spouses will tell us wrong things. Sometimes our friends will give us poor advice. Sometimes there are people around us that we may look up to. They will also give us poor advice because they can't see the beginning to the end. But God does. He sees the beginning, He sees the end. And He is the only one who is going to take us all the way through in this season, that we can now become and receive the amazing promises He has for us. And so I pray that you'll be like me. You'll stand strong. You'll stand firm. Be like Job. And just no matter what comes at you, standing strong with the Lord, because look what happened to him at the end. Doubled everything he was blessed with. What happened to the Israelites? They managed to get across. Their enemies were destroyed, and they got over into the very promised land that God had in store for them. I pray that you will get to the promised land, that your perseverance level is increased because of what we talked about during these podcasts, that the Lord will put something, a stamina inside of you, a persevering stamina that will cause you to rise up and fight with everything you have to get to the other side. The promises, the amazing promises, the impossible things that God has for you. God bless you in all of this as you make your choice. Yes, it's your choice. You get to do this or not. And I pray that you'll make the right choice in serving the God who has never failed you or forsaken you. People have, things have, but he has never forsaken you. So go forth today with a new vitality in serving him with this divine perseverance that only comes from him. And we give him the glory for that in Jesus' name. I want to thank you for watching and joining me on this journey as we go higher. Expect to grow, expand your territory, and enter into new levels of intimacy with the Lord. Check out my website at loisforwelling.com for books, online courses, podcasts, and other resources to help you soar in the Lord. Are you interested in increasing your confidence, being able to speak assertively, subdue your fears, manage life situations effectively, and overcome rejection or betrayal so that you can tenaciously stand back up again? Then you must sign up for a free strategy session so we can design a plan specifically for you. I now offer one-on-one coaching sessions with group sessions coming soon. My heart is to equip and make disciples and advance them into living a life more abundantly. Yes, my website is loisforwelling.com. Check it out, and I hope to be talking to you soon.